Wow. News in Ontario and BC real estate. TREB system, which is Toronto area, Vancouver, and that's a big system. That's another big system, but TREB is the biggest in the country. Surging listings pouring in more than ever before. It's like record January listings. Or record recent. So why? Why is it? What's going on? Why are all these listings pouring in? Why are all these people wanting to put their homes on offer to sell? What's going on? Okay, there's relatively simple answers. A lot of people wanted to sell their properties already last year in the fall. It's a simple story for rent. For everybody who has a rental property, it's becoming less and less attractive. More renewals coming through at higher rates. Rents are falling. So if your tenant's left and you have to find a new one, it's not the wonderful picture it was 18 months ago. All of the rental laws, tribunals, and other things you have to go through as a landlord when your tenant stops paying are all crappy in those two provinces, and particularly horrible in Ontario. Just really hard to deal with problem tenants. And a whole series of events. It's like prices are definitely not going up anymore. And anybody who's considering selling studies that. They ask the realtor, where are prices going? Down. Oh, fuck, no. Okay, that's terrible news. But people still want to sell. Look, a lot of the stuff is just about rentals. It's all about rentals. Rentals, investors, it was the biggest thing in Canada for years. From about 2016, all the way through the total crazy town of 2021. I mean, there were times when maybe more than half of all purchases in a real estate market were for investors. That's a lot. Everything to do with a pre-construction condo, seriously, in the 80% range is about investors. If you're buying a pre-construction unit, it's just massively about investors in the condo market. People who are going to either flip it or rent it out. And none of those numbers work anymore. They're all going wrong. Sure, some people bought 10 years ago. They're feeling very little pressure. But they still may think that, hey, our price is going to go way down. You know, should I make a move now, even though I'm comfortable, even though I have positive cash flow? So when you wrap all this together, you have a problem. The problem of, let's offer it now. Oh, but wait, there's more. There's a really fast growing problem. There are condominiums and other properties that have, both in Vancouver and in Toronto, their pre-construction has closed, but the builder ended up with far more units than they intended to. Let me explain. So when you sell a pre-construction condo, the builder typically holds some units. Not every builder, but most. They say, I'm going to hold on to 10% of all the units, 15% of all the units, because when it's finished, I'm going to make even more money selling it when it's complete. That was the theory. It worked for 10 years. Doesn't work anymore. It's now the opposite. So there's also, to make matters worse, the people who chose not to close. Yeah, builder, you could keep my deposit. You can sue me. I can't even find a mortgage. Nobody will give me a mortgage. I can't close anyway. So you can sue me if you have to. So the builder gets stuck with those. What happens is they form a separate company, buy up those units to allow the condominium corp to close. It's a drain on their finances. They've got to borrow money to buy those units unless they're rich. If they're a rich old builder, they just do it themselves. But they also say, well, that's my profit. All of my profits are now tied up in these unsold units that I'm stuck with. So what happens? They have to sell the units eventually. They keep it quiet for a few months, and then they start aggressively trying to sell these units they're stuck with. So once again, this is a building that's closed. It's turned into a condo corporation. The builder was stuck with 30 units, 40 units, whatever it was. They don't want them. They don't sell them immediately because that would really, really, really piss off the people who closed at full price. Yeah, there were a bunch of people who did find a way to close, and they ponied up the full price, got a mortgage, whatever the case may be. They spent $1,200 a square foot. they're in for $1,200 a square foot. But the builder's stuck with all these units. And he asks, eventually the builder says, well, what's it going to take to blow these out? Because this is all my profit. All my profit is here. I need to get, and I'm paying, in some cases, I'm paying interest on it. Big interest, 10% interest. So I need to blow these out. I've waited a few months for the dust to settle, try to avoid some lawsuits, but now I got to get rid of them. So, hey, real estate agent, what do I have to price these for to sell them? Oh, geez. You closed. A lot of people closed at $1,200 a square foot. You need to sell at $900 to get rid of them quick. That's what you need to do. You just need to do, because there's buildings across the street and down the street that are almost the same. They're new. They're like 2 years old, and they're selling for $900 a square foot or less. So you really need to mark these down in order to sell them. Okay. So guess what we'll do? So those now become listings. Yeah, they become listings. Like sometimes they try to sell them privately or through other means, but eventually they become listings. And more fuckery ensues. I mean, like you've got people who want to sell, people took stuff they couldn't sell off the market in November, December. That's traditional. If you've got a listing that's stale, it's not selling, you take it off the market and you start again in January. So we got people who a lot of people who couldn't get the price they wanted to, because real estate is slow. It's not like selling stocks. You can't just say, put in a sale order, it's gone. It's gone within an hour, it's sold. You can't do that in real estate. It's slow, and you have to, and it's really costly. You've got to pay real estate commissions, pay legal fees, you got to pay a bunch of stuff, and you really, really want to get your higher price, and you can't always do it. So then you take it off the market, you relist later. Guess what? Still isn't selling. Plus all the new people who've come around to say, hey, I finally got to get rid of this. So yeah, listings surge. Are we going to eventually have a breaking point where people say, hey, because the prices haven't dropped particularly substantially yet, they have in condos, but not with everything, and not as fast as people thought. Will there come a moment where somebody says, oh, to hell with it, I'm just going to list it for $850 a square foot and get rid of it. I just got to get out. Will that happen? Chances are it will.